I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church, right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today, my special guest is Mr. W.L. Pate himself. Welcome, W.L.
Thank you, Pastor. It's great to be back. First off, I want to thank you for all the things that you guys do in the neighborhood. You know, it's so important. People sometimes forget the neighborhood affects the block, the neighborhood, the city.
Right.
And
right,
it goes just
right.
like that. And the more people upon whom we can have a good impression about, number one, Beaumont's a great place.
That's right.
Number two, do the right thing, which is what you do all day long, 24 hours a day. And if you're doing the right thing, we are making Beaumont a better place.
That's right. So, W.L., tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you know, I was fortunate enough, I tell people, and they think I'm making this up because it sounds like a joke. I said, you know, I was born to two Baptist parents in a Catholic hospital directly across from a Jewish synagogue. But that was St. Teresa's Hospital back when I was born. And Mom and Dad, you know, just the two best parents ever. I was so fortunate, you know, they brought us up. And as important as what you do every single day, you want people to live it as opposed to just talk about it on Sunday.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people walk out Sunday at about noon and you go, I think they forgot.
They forgot.
You know, but my parents were so great that, you know, they brought me up in the church, taught me to read the Bible, and realized that a relationship with Jesus is what counts.
Yeah.
And that you have a mission in life, son, is to make the world a better place than the world you found when you got here. And God didn't put you down here to take up space. Now, I know that sounds like one of your sermons, but it's the absolute truth. And I was so fortunate, like I said, to have, you know, W.L. Pate Sr. and my mother, Connie Pate, who was the world's greatest English teacher at Forest Park in Westbrook and had a lot of really outstanding students. Jerry Ball was one of her students. You know.
I might have been one of her students.
Hey, well, you know, you notice how articulate he is, so there's a good chance that's probably happened. But, you know, Mom and Dad, just to give you a little history, my father, after World War II, was second lieutenant in the infantry in the Philippines when General MacArthur was island hopping toward Japan, and they thought they were about to invade Japan, and finally the Japanese surrendered. So he came back, he went to work for DuPont, and he decided, I want to have my own little business. So he got the Trailways bus agency in Beaumont. Well, nobody leaves DuPont. You know, I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, you want to take their temperature and say, are you okay, son?
But, I know the feeling.
You know, but Dad said, you know, I just wanted it to be my business. And so Dad had his idea was, well, son, you'd be successful and just work half a day. You just had to figure out which 12 hours it's going to be. And I kept trying to say, well, Dad, how does that fit into the bus station being open 365 days a year from 4 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
And if somebody's sick, there's a Pate down there working, you know. But to grow up in an environment where you learn to serve people, you know, and as a kid, I'm carrying out bags, sweeping out buses, mopping restrooms, the whole 9 yards. I mean, when you get to porter, there's no place but up, and I was the assistant porter. Perry Hall was my supervisor, and so I got to grow up in that kind of environment where you learn.
Right.
It's about serving others, which is what Jesus is about.
Yeah, that's the
I mean, it's everything he says. He said, when he came down here, he didn't say, I came down here, I'm God, I need your help.
Yeah.
You know, I'm God, let me show you how to treat others.
Right.
I'm going to leave, and I expect you to keep doing that. And my mother and dad thought, I mean, they believed it, and that's exactly what, you know, they put that into me, my sister Pat, my brother Robert and Pam. And that's the whole idea. Do something, make the world better.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, like I said, when you start out carrying out bags, every job is a promotion.
Yeah, every job.
And so I'm, like I said, I was fortunate enough to do that. And then, you know, in 1967, I joined the Army Reserve as a private. And 27 years later, I retired as lieutenant colonel.
Okay.
And but the whole time I was there, it's how can I be better at this? And in the meantime, while I was doing that, I was, of course, raising a family. I got a master's degree in economics at Lamar University, a master's degree in military arts and science, and taught Command General Staff College for the Army, and also taught at Lamar. So I feel like Forrest Gump, you know, and all this time I'm running these other businesses too, and raising, you know, two wonderful girls, Suzanne and Jennifer, who are successful women. You know, they're on their own, they make their own decisions, and their mother, Martha, did a great job, you know, making sure they were squared away. And it's pretty obvious when you see Jennifer and Suzanne that the good looks of the family came on the girl's side. And but you know, that's, you know, I went to Lamar University. I'm really proud to be a graduate of Lamar University, and I tell everybody, you know, we are so fortunate to have Lamar University here.
Yeah.
We take it for granted because it's here.
It's local, yeah.
But when it's not here, you'd go,
yeah,
how come they got university in Huntsville?
Yeah.
Well, we got one here, and sometimes we, like I said, we just take it for granted.
Well, W.L., you're running for re-election for the city council. So why should we cast our vote for W.L. Pate?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. You know, a lot of times when people are running, they go, this is what I will do. And so I got the big plans. Let me give you a big long list of all the things that would make Beaumont perfect, and that's a great goal. But the reality of it is, it takes 4 votes on city council to say, hey, we want baseball, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Who's for that? How about we love mothers? You still have to get 4 votes, and it's that sounds simple. And of course, for all those other things, it would be, we'd get 7.
Yeah.
But the point is, what we do at city council, and because a lot of people, they think we just show up Tuesday, look at this stuff, vote on it. They have no concept.
Right.
They really don't. And we do get $400 a month salary. And I'll be quite honest with you, when Get Right and I got elected together, she came out and told me, said, she reminded me that we only got the same things as the ward people. And I asked her, I said, well, what do we get? She said, $400 a month. I said, thank you. She said, for what? I said, I thought I was doing this for free. You just gave me a $400 a month raise. And so I thought, really, when I got elected, I didn't think we got anything.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't running.
You was
obviously
running to serve.
And people, if they go to electwlpate.com, elect W.L. Pate, not re-elect, but elect W.L. Pate, I have a bio there where people can take a look and see some of the things that has transpired that I've done. And one of the things that my parents also taught me, and you preach every Sunday and Monday through Saturday too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, humility is what you're not supposed to be telling everybody, let me tell you all the things that I've done, you know.
Well, you have an incredible list on the website, W.L.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. You know, my father used to say, who was also a retired Army colonel, he said, son, there's 3 types of people in life: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened.
Yeah.
He said, try to be in category number 1.
Yeah.
So as a city councilman at large, I represent all the citizens all the time. So I don't have an agenda for Ward 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mine's for Beaumont.
Holistically. Yeah.
So when you look at the website, electwlpate.com, you'll see I've listed some things. For instance, when HEB, when Baptist Hospital was trying to sell that property to HEB, David Palmer, who's the CEO at Baptist Hospital, asked me if I would get our city manager and Chris Boone to come meet with the HEB people and the real estate to see if there was anything we could do from the city standpoint to help close that deal. Because for the longest time, as you well know, that was an empty building.
That's right.
And it was really an eyesore.
Yeah.
And so you drove by and you go, here's this 5-story empty building.
Yeah.
And it looks bad as you come in off of College Street, which is also called Old Spanish Trail. That is the original Old Spanish Trail, College Street, isn't it? It goes all the way through Houston. Everybody knows about Old Spanish Trail in Houston. That's the road from Beaumont. And so you see it. And so we sit down, and I sit down with those nice folks from HEB, and Kyle and Chris, I mean, they do a wonderful job for us. And we talked about it. We said, well, we'll do anything we can for you to help make this come together that we would do for our friends Skylar Thompson at Market Basket, who's local,
Right.
or our friends at Kroger or somebody else. So anyway, I talked to David, and I'd check in with him to see how things were going. And after several weeks, he said, WL, I think this thing's dead in the water. And I said, golly, David, I thought we were pretty well on track. So I picked the phone up and called the guy at HEB. And I said, hey, this is W.L. Pate. He said, hey, Councilman Pate, appreciate your call. I said, I get the distinct impression that you've run your numbers on that site plan and you can't run your inventory through fast enough, the volume fast enough to get an ROI that pays this thing off fast enough for you. He goes, Councilman Pate, you know a whole lot more about grocery stores than anybody we've ever talked to, trying to put them in. I said, well, let me ask you a question. If we close down Stagg Drive, which is right there by you, would you be able, do you think that would work? And his first response is, can you close Stagg Drive? I said, let me rephrase this. No, let me phrase it again. If we close Stagg Drive.
Right.
Okay? I said, I can't speak for everybody on council, but I got a pretty good idea if this works, we'll make it work. I said, so let's close Stagg Drive, you run the numbers, and you call me back and see if they work. Well, he ran the numbers. He said, Councilman Pate, if we could close Stagg Drive, because we do away with easements and things like that when you come up to a street, we can make this work. I said, okay. Wow. So I told Kyle, I said, Kyle just got off the phone. Here's what we need to do. Kyle Hayes, like I said, does a wonderful job for us as city manager, and we're lucky to have him. And Chris Boone, I mean, they do a wonderful job. And he said, if that's the case, so we wrote it up. He puts it on the agenda, close Stagg Drive. You know, it wasn't so HEB and buy the store, just close Stagg Drive and pretty much lands it out. Of course, council's going, well, they knew exactly what it was for, so it went 7-0, wasn't even close. So anyway, we closed Stagg Drive. HEB opens up. But you didn't hear that story because I didn't tell you. Right. But if you called David Palmer, CEO at Baptist, say, hey, I understand that this was the case. He'll tell you. He said, if WL hadn't picked the phone up, we'd still be looking at that old hospital. Wow. Because they couldn't make it work on that piece of property. Right. The city had to do something. And that's the way I try to think. How can that help? Now think about that. Now we got an HEB really right there on a major thoroughfare. You got a pharmacy that's close. We're only 6, 8, 10 blocks away from the Pear Orchard. It's right there. Right. And so it's conveniently located. And I said, and speaking of the South Park area, Pear Orchard and South Park, I work real close with Dr. Evans at Lamar, and who's doing a terrific job. Jimmy Simmons did a wonderful job before Dr. Evans got here. Right. Ken Evans doing a great job. Our heart goes out to him. He's lost his lovely wife Nancy recently, and that just your heart goes out to him. That's all you can say. But I told him, I said, Dr. Evans, we want to do everything we can in Beaumont to help you develop all this area out there, because he's got some, you got college students living in dorms, you need something close. So I said, what I'd like to do is put a enterprise zone from Martin Luther King, Cardinal Drive. Now, where would you like the boundaries to be? Wow. And he goes, are you asking me where to put the boundary? And I said, when it comes to business, I don't joke around. Yeah. And so it's Highland to LG. Now think about that. That also takes in LIT, goes all the way out. Now, first thing that went in there was that $2.5 million Express Mart with Little Caesars. So you got $5 pieces that close to Lamar University students. Man, it's like,
and those $5 add up.
To borrow one of your phrases, I've died and gone to heaven. $5 for a pizza, and I'd walk over and get it. But those sort of things. was also one of the things, I didn't, I don't call the newspaper and say, hey, guess what we did. But those are the things that you want to do to make Beaumont better. And when you're trying to do the right thing, it's not a matter who gets the credit.
Right.
It's the fact that we
done.
all win.
Yeah.
So whether it's that or the Northwest Parkway, and you look back, Washington Boulevard, that's a $33 million.
Wow.
$33 million, because it costs about $3 million a mile to lay out concrete like that. And Washington Boulevard, one of the older streets in the city. And now it's going to look fabulous. I mean, it looks fabulous, and we're going to extend it, but $33 million for that. We got Northwest Parkway so that people can leave Parkdale Mall, not get stuck on Dallas, and just go right out to Major and go east, or north or south. And it's a beautiful facility. We really appreciate Sam Parigi and all his partners out there that actually donated the land so we could build that.
Wow.
And not only that, he's such a great guy. That was one of the things that when I was talking to him, I said, Sam, we're trying to spend all this money on streets. And he said, but we're going to need some engineering on that. And what will your thoughts be? Do you think you and your partners could pick up the engineering cost, and we'll use a local minority engineering firm to do it? And that way all the money goes to the streets.
Right.
And Sam, being a great citizen that he is, he said, we'll be happy to do it.
Wow.
And that was several $100,000 that we saved the city, because Sam said, sure, I'll do it. There's a lot of things that people can do, but you got to ask. I read a book said, ask and you shall receive. And you probably read that book.
I read the verse too.
Every day. If somebody knocking at, it follows in with that. But that's the way you get things done. You can't just sit around and hope it happens. You got to make it happen.
Now, W.L., there are some misconceptions about the process of the election. Now, I like to make sure that people understand that there are 4 votes for the city council.
Yeah, absolutely. And whatever ward you live in, and we'll, as a public service, we'll go through and you'll have these other individuals. But in Ward 1, you get to vote for Virginia Jordan, who's the incumbent, Taylor Neal, and Mr. Pashati. And so that's in Ward 1. In Ward 2, you have Mike Getz, who's the incumbent, and Jefferson Fisher, who's running. In Ward 3, you got Audwin Samuel and Chris Jones. And Ward 4, Robin, I have no opponent, Mouton. I'm going,
how did you do that?
Well, I got to tell you, Congressman Jack Brooks and I were old friends. He said, Colonel Pate, there's 2 ways to run, scared and unopposed. And unopposed is a whole lot more fun. And so Robin, who's done a great job for Ward 4, is unopposed. There's a number of people running for mayor. There's 7 people running at large. So you get to vote for your ward, the mayor, okay, and 2 at large.
Right.
And so, I tell people, I said, look, you might have a cousin or brother-in-law or sister-in-law or something like that, and you're going to vote for them. That's fine. Yeah. Then I want you to think, well, what's the luckiest number I could think of? And you'd say, well, everybody knows it's 7. And for those of us that grew up and watched Mickey Mantle play, we go, yes, 7 is great. Yeah. So if you happen to think, after you pick the first choice, number 7, that's W.L. Pate. But you do get to vote twice. So you can vote for whoever you want to that's your friend. I just ask people to consider me for their second choice. I'd like to be everybody's first choice, right. Naturally. But realizing that, like I said, we got friends and relatives that run for public office. But when you think about, I am giving this individual my trust, and what has he done or she done for me up to now? Not what am I promising you I'm going to do. Right. I want you to look and see what I've done. I want you to, and I ask those voters, I said, think about this. I've been in Beaumont a long time. I love Beaumont. Everybody that knows me all over, I had a friend of mine tell me, he said, WL, I run into people everywhere that knows W.L. Pate. And I said, well, that's probably my dad they're thinking about. But I had a friend who went to Germany. He's eating in a local restaurant in Berlin. And his some Americans were close. So they start, you know, like you would if you went to Mexico or someplace, you're down and somebody speaks familiar. English. Hey, you're from America? Yeah, where do you live? Yeah. And so my friend says, I live in Beaumont, Texas. The guy goes, do you know W.L. Pate? And now he told me the story, and I'm cracking up. And of course, it was a friend of mine that I knew growing up, but I hadn't seen him in 50 years. But it was so funny. He said, W.L., I am sitting in a restaurant, and it's not a tourist restaurant. It's one where the locals go. And I run into a guy and said, do you know W.L. Pate? But this goes back to my parents. When you're nice and you treat people the way you want to be treated, and it comes back to you. And I ask people, I said, those of you that don't know me, ask somebody that does. And not everybody wants to do that. Yeah. You know? But if you've tried to treat people fairly and do the right thing, and if you ask, now those of you that knew me when I was growing up, when I played athletics, this was kind of funny. In my yearbook at French High School, best school I ever knew. Buffalo? Buffalo. French High, Buffalo. And a little orange and white. And but in my yearbook, and I didn't even notice this, because you see a picture yourself, you don't even read what's underneath it. You just know it's you, so you're not checking, you're not editing it, you're just looking at it. A friend of mine, right before one of our class reunions, said, I have got to tell you this. And she lived in Tennessee. She's flipping through the annual with a friend of hers that lives up there. She didn't know anybody, just looking, you know, how everybody looked back then. And she goes, you know, those Pate twins sure are active in school. And she said, Pate twins? Yeah. I mean, one of your good friends, Bubba Pate's the athlete, you know, plays football, baseball, runs track. Wilbur Pate's the president of the student body and all this other stuff. And she went back and looked. She said, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but in the yearbook, when you're playing athletics, it says Bubba. Every time they took a picture looking like this, it said, because I'm Wilbur Lee Pate Jr. Right. It said Wilbur Pate, my official name. Yeah. And she said, I never noticed. And I said, well, I'm glad you pointed out, because I didn't either. But those Pate twins, and I'm pretty sure my mom and dad were pretty excited there was only one of me. Yeah, that was more than enough. But no, growing up in Beaumont, doing the things that I've had the opportunity to do, and before I ever ran for city council, it's about service to the community. Right. I mean, when people look back and say, and they remember, some people know me from the military, some people are going to know me as the chairman of the American Heart Association, the muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, chairman of the Better Business Bureau, president of SME, president of the Cardinal, all these things that doesn't do anything for my business, except it's giving back to the community. Matter of fact, when I was chairman of the Muscular Dystrophy Association, we raised more money here per capita than any other city in the United States of America. The people from muscular dystrophy asked me to go out to San Francisco and give a presentation to the full-time people that their whole job is raising money for muscular dystrophy. And I said, well, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, well, tell them what it takes to get somebody like W.L. Pate. Wow. And I said, wow. That's what I said. Yeah. So since you and I think alike, we obviously, if you're around either one of us and you're not laughing, after a while, you're just not paying attention. But I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. That's what I'll give the presentation on. I looked up in the phone book in San Francisco. There really was a guy named W.L. Pate. Wow. So I don't know the guy. I looked his phone number up. So I got up in front of this group and I said, you want to know what it takes to get somebody like W.L. Pate to do this for you? This is how easy it is. There's a W.L. Pate in San Francisco. His phone number is 547-6318. And of course, they just started laughing. And I said, but that's what it is. Yeah. You got to give them a call, pick up the phone and say, I need your help. Wow. I want your help. And more importantly, I appreciate your help.
Wow.
My mom and dad told me, said, son, you can never thank people enough.
Right.
And when you do, you don't have to worry about whether they're going to know you're important to them, because so many people take so much for granted.
Yeah. So WL, in our closing moments, let the people know why they should vote for you on the early election starts April 22nd and the election day is May the 4th.
Well, what I'd ask you to do is think about this. Think about Beaumont. Think about all of Beaumont. Now, you live in one ward, and I encourage you, number one, to vote for whoever you think's the best person for that ward. But when it comes to seeing the vision for the city, I ask you to vote for somebody who looks after all of the citizens all the time. And if you look at the things that I've accomplished with the help of the other members of council since I've been there, whether it's the Calder project that took thousands of homes out of the floodplain. When Hurricane Harvey hit, think about this. You could drive around the city of Beaumont when the rain stopped. When the rain stopped, you could drive down Calder. You could drive down all these other streets. Now, the access roads were flooded, but we don't build those. We build the streets in Beaumont.
Right.
But literally, you could drive anywhere in Beaumont on our streets. And when you think about that, you go, wow. Matter of fact, when you saw some aerial views, it looked like Beaumont was an island, because it was. Everybody else, unfortunately, was flooded, but we had done some things to protect you. And if we didn't have an issue with our water supply flooding, which this was, Noah called me when this water started coming in and said, can I bring the ark in? I said, it's not fast enough for recovery. So just hold it out in the Gulf. You know, I mean, there was we could have held the ark. That's how much water was in Beaumont. And, but that's the thing. You look and see, none of this stuff just happens. It happens because you have people that care about Beaumont, that are looking down the road, that want to make a difference. So when you go to vote, I ask you to vote for W.L. Pate Jr. and think, I want to vote for somebody that loves all of Beaumont and is going to do a great job for all of Beaumont, and I am part of that. And you'll never have a bigger cheerleader than me for Beaumont, Texas. Right. I mean, literally, I wake up every day and I thank God I live in America, the greatest country ever in the history of the world, and that I live here in Beaumont.
Right.
I don't have to, I want to.
Right.
And so I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate the folks that are watching and listening. I would encourage you to share all this information with your friends, because we need more people to vote. It's a crying shame.
13%.
13%, and you go, golly, but everybody ought to be out voting, because the closest that you are to an elected official is City Hall.
Yes.
And we'll go out and vote for a president that we may never see, except on TV.
Right.
And
but I could touch my council person.
That's right. and when I give you a card, it's got my cell phone on it.
That's right.
You know, and not everybody does that, you know, but if you call, I pick it up and go, W.L. Pate. And I know I've had a lot of people say, is this really you? I said, this is really me. And that's important. You want people that you can talk to that is the same person that he was when he went to French Elementary and Eugene Field and Bowie and Austin and French and Lamar. The same guy.
Yeah.
And that's the person that you want representing you. Somebody that knows you, cares about you, and looks down the road on what we can do for today and for our kids in the future.
Well, listen, I want to thank WL for coming on today and talk about Beaumont and talk about his run for office again. Now, again, early elections begin on April the 22nd through May the 30th, and election day is Saturday, May the 4th. Get out and exercise your constitutional right and vote. I want to thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us on What's Happening in Our Neighborhood, and we will see you next time on our broadcast.
I'm W.L. Pate, and I love Beaumont, Texas. Beaumont has made significant progress since I was first elected. My only agenda is to represent all of Beaumont all of the time. There have been dramatic improvements in streets and drainage in every ward. There's also been numerous quality of life additions. We have a balanced budget and a strong reserve in case of emergency like Hurricane Harvey. I'm W.L. Pate, and I'm asking for your vote for City Council at large. Let's continue the progress.